everyone. I'm excited to come on here today and talk about the full moon in Aries tomorrow. There's a lot going on in the sky, and there are a lot of messages that came through because of that. And it's interesting. I'm actually considering starting to write these readings because there's just been a major sort of flow of consciousness through pen to paper for me lately, and it might actually be a little bit easier for me to do these offerings that way in the future. So we'll see. Let me know if you would be interested in reading updates, astrological updates on Substack or something like that. So first of all, I already made a post about this, but I am definitely feeling Mr. Rogers' energy, which feels so needed right now, right? Because there is so much tension. There's a lot of tension in the sky. There's a lot of tension in the collective. There's a lot of loss, a lot of change. And Mr. Rogers is just this really comforting energy that I feel like he helps us come back to our center, come back to our inner child, Aries, and regulate our nervous systems. So yeah, if you're feeling a little out of whack, I highly suggest either listening to some of his music or like looking up some of his episodes on YouTube. Just his voice. It's just like, it's so comforting. And there's a couple major, actually, there's like 3 major messages that he is bringing through that are just messages from his life when he was actually here, which is, I like you just the way you are. This is very Aries, like just our pure essence, our pure, unique spark of life. And, I'm hearing like, won't you be my neighbor over and over and over. And I can't help but think about all of the people who have recently lost so much and have had to come together, from these hurricanes, and I know there's wildfires as well, and they've had to come together and really rely on each other. And it brings you back to this point of purity and innocence where we see each other human to human. We don't see each other based on our opinions or the stuff that doesn't matter, So I think he's kind of bringing forth this energy that is encouraging us to really accept ourselves, which is where a lot of acceptance of others stems from. And the other thing with all of these catastrophes and things, that quote that he said that it really stuck out to me. He said when he was a little boy and he would see scary things on the news, his mother would say, look for the helpers. And it's so true. Like, there's so much light coming out of so much loss and destruction, and my heart goes out to people who, I know there's people who just aren't even here anymore too, to be able to say that. So my heart goes out to everyone who's had major losses. And I'm also looking at all of this from the bird's eye view, which sometimes when we go through things like that, we're shot out into that view, So I remember when I read on the Pisces eclipse that I saw a dark night of the soul coming for a lot of people. And I think that's sort of what we saw. I think it's really interesting too that a lot of it came with water, Pisces, and we also have our South Node conjunct asteroid Atlantis. So it feels like there's, I can't tell you why things happen. None of us know why things happen, but we can see echoes of history, and we can see okay, well, what are we here to learn? And I really feel like a lot of the things that are happening are here to help initiate us into this Aquarian age we're going into, which is more about community. It's less about the government, you know, like providing everything we need, and more about relying on each other and pooling our resources and things like that. Kind of feels like these people who have at a soul level taken on these dark nights of the soul are leading with their light and what they're learning from these experiences. I know that I used to live outside of Asheville, and I know Asheville has been considered like a city of light or a portal of light. It's a very high vibrational place. And so there's a lot of cool people there, you know, and I think that this challenge is really helping them to step up and become leaders in their communities, and even on a wider scale, because now that we have social media, more people are seeing what's going on, you know, not just your immediate community. So this is why I'm going way off what I mean, I'm kind of covering a lot of what I've written, but this is why I have a hard time deciding whether to do videos or write, because different things come through each medium in different ways. You just gotta let it flow. But I did take some notes to keep myself on track a little bit here. This full moon is conjunct dark moon Lilith and also Chiron. So this is like all about true self-expression and like from a place of integrity, watching out for projecting our wounds. So there's always like different levels of consciousness within different planets, and there's like lower expressions and higher expressions. And so the invitation is always to kind of see the potential for both. And there's so much Lilith in the chart. I don't know if it's just because I've really started paying attention to her. Maybe she's always this active in the astrology and I just never realized before. But I know she has been stepping forward for a reason. And one of the big reasons, I think, is this Libra Aries nodal axis we've been in. Lilith is like a mirror. She's like that black obsidian mirror. And with the black obsidian, it's kind of like there's an illusion almost. It's like we forget that that's us in the mirror, you know? We see darkness. We may not see a reflection, but the invitation is to just to reflect on, you know, what is it within us that we're seeing in others. And also it's to reflect on our darkness too, so that we can either accept it or transmute it or do what we will with it, right? So this full moon is really highlighting Aries energy, right? Which is like innocence, fire, that pure spark. But there's such a Lilith flavor in it all that a lot of it is about the darkness too, and about exposure, which is pretty appropriate for this time of year, you know, in the Northern Hemisphere. Well, in both hemispheres, the days and nights are of equal length. So we're supposed to be seeing both and finding balance between the two. Speaking of which, we have the sun opposite the moon, conjunct Juno in Libra. And Juno's been popping out a lot lately too, which is about relationships and marriage. And in Libra, it's all about equality and fairness. So the sun is highlighting what hasn't been fair, what hasn't been equal, and is really helping us to try to find balance there, and also to find balance between our masculine and our feminine energies, which I'll get to in a minute. But with this full moon, it's in a cardinal square to Pluto in Capricorn, which just went direct. So we're really feeling Pluto's energy in Capricorn again for the last time until November 19th. And this is just like the death throes of Capricorn. And like, it just feels, with all of this Lilith energy and with Uranus conjunct Algol, the Eye of Medusa, it's really felt like everything's coming to the surface to be let go of or transformed. And it always starts on a personal level, but Pluto is an outer planet. It's really about the collective and what are we seeing collectively. Now, because he's opposite Mars and Cancer, this is where it gets more personal, and that personal feeling of what needs to go is intensified right now. So Mars in Cancer is very much the protector of family, children, the home, and there's sort of like it might be bringing up a lot of memories that we're being asked to let go of. It might have us focusing on improving our homes, our home space. It's really funny. I'm just a month out from my due date, and I'm in like hardcore nesting mode, which is convenient with Mars and Cancer, especially in my 4th house, which is home. So I've been feeling this hardcore, and it's actually been really helpful to have that personal stuff to focus on while there's so much happening collectively. And I feel like this full moon is also an invitation to be able to come back to center really quickly and come back to our own lives and do what we need to do to try to find like our center and to try to find our inner peace and to let that radiate out. I think we underestimate the power of that. All right, what else do I have here? So one other thing that was popping out that I wanted to talk about, because Pluto is going to be moving from Capricorn to Aquarius soon. And this is just, I think a lot of us know this, but it just feels like a reminder. So Capricorn and Aquarius, their classical rulers are both Saturn, which is interesting, right? But it's different expressions of Saturn. So Saturn's expression through Capricorn is more material. It's more about like resources, foundations, structures, government, even death. I was even thinking about like, Pluto in Capricorn has really been revealing to us how there's just not a respect for life within our governments. You know what I'm saying? Like I was wondering to myself, where is this death impulse and killing, like war impulse come from? And it occurred to me, Saturn kind of in the shadow aspect can represent that. So there's that. And then when Pluto moves into Aquarius, he is really highlighting, and let me just say, Pluto highlights the shadow. He highlights what we need to see and what needs to be transmuted and rebirthed. What I think is interesting about like Saturn's expression in as a ruler, a classic ruler of Aquarius, it's more cerebral. I don't know if that's the right word. It's more mental. Aquarius is an air sign, so it's more about groupthink, control through technology, controlling information, and also playing God. And what I think of is, and it's also like hyper materialistic in a way, because if you're not connected to a higher power and understanding what the human is already capable of, you will continue to develop technologies outside of yourself that just imitate what the human can already do, right? And I'm not saying all technology is bad, but we have to watch out for that. We have to watch out for what is the intention behind what's being created, and is the creator of it reflected in its creation? What is the state of consciousness of the person or the people or the groups that are developing this technology, right? Has their Saturn been transformed and integrated? the other thing that I think is interesting is Aquarius's modern ruler is Uranus. Uranus is all about the future. It's all about technology. It's all about, electricity and awakening and the higher mind. It's kind of like more of a collective consciousness. And so with that future impulse, I feel we have, and with a knowledge of astrology as well, I feel like is helpful. We have this advantage to see what's coming and to really utilize Pluto's energy as co-creators. Not so much of like, okay, what is Pluto going to do to us now? Which is kind of felt how he's been in Capricorn. But to be like, okay, what shadows do we already foresee? And how can we utilize our co-creative power to develop things in line with nature and in line with humanity and the highest good of all as much as possible, It's not, I don't think absolute perfection is possible, but I think we can avoid some really detrimental timelines and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. Also, Pluto going through Aquarius, if you look through history, also it signifies revolution. And a lot of the revolutions we've had in the past have been very violent. And I'm really hoping that this next revolution will be one that's more informational, less physical, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I think that's about all I had. I want to see if I'm missing anything else. Oh, and of course, Pluto through Aquarius sort of brings up Atlantean themes as well. And I guess that's where it can kind of be helpful to know a little bit about like these ancient civilizations where Atlantis, it wasn't always a golden age. There was a point where they got a little too big in their britches and they started using the elements in ways that were not aligned with the laws of nature, and that's why Atlantis fell. And so it's sort of like we could be on the brink of that, but if we're armed with this kind of knowledge, which reminds me of one more thing I need to mention, if we're armed with this kind of knowledge, we can avoid those pitfalls. So what that brings me back to as well, just a reminder, is Jupiter just went direct. So you may have felt, he went direct in Gemini. You may have felt, not direct, retrograde. But anytime a planet goes retrograde or direct, their power is amplified, just like Pluto's is right now. Jupiter's is as well. And Jupiter in Gemini can be like way too much information, overstimulation. I have felt this myself, and it's been a little difficult to manage. Like, even if I try to cut everything out, I've just felt this major stimulation, and it could also be a lot of the solar activity we've been getting as well. But just coming back to like clearing out the information, taking breaks from social media, maybe just like doing some breath work, some meditation, getting out in nature. It can really help you get through that kind of energy if you're feeling that. So I'm going to pull a few cards. I'm definitely feeling a lot of fire energy. So, and the dragons started coming through as I sat down, because I think it's so cool where the nodes are. And Aries is like the head, and the North Node, which is the head of the dragon, is in Aries. So I felt like pulling a dragon energy for this full moon. Orange gold dragon from Arcturus opens you to knowledge for the new golden age. Carry the energy of the future and be a guiding light. How beautiful is that? I really feel like that's a confirmation of what I was saying about this Aquarian energy and being able to foresee and being able to choose choose better pathways. I'm getting chills. And I also wanted to pull from my Archangel Fire Oracle, see what Archangel wants to... Woo! Are you kidding me? Stop it. This just flew out. This is the same card from the Pisces eclipse. So this is, again, Sariel, who is an angel of the dark night of the soul. Hold on, let me look at his card again really quick, just to see if I can pull any more messages. Kind of feels like he's saying, we're still in it. And Sariel brings comfort, helping you to offer yourself loving kindness in the depths of despair. That feels much needed. Although you may feel like you have abandoned hope, abandon yourself not. You are being cracked open to reveal your depths. Treasures await you on the other side of this deep initiation. That's really beautiful. And that's what... It's easy to remember that when you are on the other side of a dark night. Or sometimes even when you're in it, you're kind of like, wow, like I'm seeing things so differently, and you're almost thankful in a way. It's a really strange experience, but yeah, it kind of feels like he's still in this. I'm gonna look at the bottom of the deck and see who else is here as well. Oh, Metatron 31. This feels very Aquarian. Okay, let's look at Metatron. I love Metatron's energy. You are crowned with the light of Source because you are the divine incarnate. Walk upon the earth as an angel, and life shall conspire to lift you up. Wisdom is available to those who truly follow the integrity of their heart. That is beautiful, and that's so in line with this Aries full moon. That was one of the first things that came through, was a true expression with integrity. And it feels like he's got the laws of nature in his little garland here. He's got the platonic solids. He's got the sacred, he's got the golden ratio with the shell. He's got the pine cone, which is like representative of the golden ratio, and also the pineal gland. And then the DNA. Look at the DNA in his heart being lit up. I really feel like that references all the solar flares that have been hitting us too. It's like there's new strands being activated, connecting us to the past, which also further connects us to the future. And also just our multidimensionality. That's what it is. That's a simpler way of saying it, I guess, if you understand that. And then I wanted to pull a Healing Waters card. What messages does water have for us on this full moon? The waterfall. Inner power, unbridled confidence, claiming your place. I am. That's Aries. Here I am. Don't deny that inner power, just let it flow. Did that card come up? I feel like that card came up in it was either my last reading or the Pisces eclipse. That's interesting. Okay, and one card from the earth, please, for this Aries full moon. From Mama Gaia. Fulfillment. Look at that, the full moon right there. And this juicy peach. It's like, don't worry, everything is being fulfilled. There may be a lot of darkness, but it's a part of this fulfillment. It's helping us get to where we need to be, individually and collectively, on whatever level you're experiencing it. So really, really beautiful messages. I feel like just remembering your power, and that's one other thing that I feel like Libra invites us to do, which is to claim our power and stay humble. To remember that there is a large creative force that we're all connected to, and just to remember that we're one powerful piece of a really powerful whole, and to find balance in that as well. So hope you guys have a lovely full moon, and just sending you lots of love.